It's a tenfold price tag on it. Wow. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Gruber, good talking to you, my friend. Talk to you again soon tomorrow. Because it's Wednesday and 4 p.m. means the markets are closed. Take a look. We just kind of referenced it a little bit with Gruber. Dow did very well, 327 points on the upside to the Dow or so. S&P up a little. Nasdaq took a little bit of a dip. Here's an interesting one, though. I don't get this one. Nothing could be better than this next one, though. Gold was up. Gold is up almost $84 an ounce today. Gold and oil usually go in the same direction. They're both commodities. They're both dollar-based commodities. Usually is a function of the dollar's strength and weaknesses. Gold's up $83. And the good news, oil got smacked down $2.50. Look at that price, folks, 58.5. We haven't seen a price of oil that low in, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years since Trump was last president. This is very good news for the economy. Good news for folks going forward. All righty. And as I said, the Bitcoin price, so it just can't get out of its own way. 101,000 and change. Just needs to get all this mess selling through and then jump back in. Our first guest, the former Trump attorney and current Judicial Watch senior attorney who joins us to discuss the fact that outsiders, by the way, this young woman is probably the most persecuted person outside of Donald Trump in the history of America. Outsiders who may be associated with the Obama and the Biden administrations and Hillary Clinton, who allegedly paid for the criminal acts against her after the election. In other words, they paid to have Christina Bobb looked at, and maybe even worse. Christina, good to have you on, my friend. Before we get into all this, we'll get into all that, but we have to talk about this drip, drip, drip. The Democrats on the House Oversight Committee have released a bunch more Epstein emails, and some of them are saying Trump is mentioned in it. And I want to just clarify this I was just on Piers Morgan's show, and there, a bunch of people are trying to jump on, Trump did it, Trump's guilty. And I said, guys, there's no evidence of this because his name is mentioned in an email. And at one point, Jeffrey Epstein says to Ghislaine Maxwell, Trump knows because he told Ghislaine to stop, meaning stop talking about the girls. It's almost acquitting Trump, yet they want to slap some sort of guilty thing on him already. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is one of those things where they're trying to make something new out of basically same thing we've seen before. It's not actually incriminating, but the most detrimental pieces that are in these emails are that Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein, that he had been with Jeffrey Epstein, that he knew Ghislaine Maxwell, and that Jeffrey Epstein had been to Mar-a-Lago. Like, we already knew all that. That's not new news. And so the fact that it's in a new email that we're just getting access to, I don't think there was really anything there. Nothing that was particularly concerning for me, although I would like to see more of the Epstein file released. I think this slow trickle of information is not going to go well for the Trump administration or for Republicans because it's a hot potato that has landed in, Republicans' lap at the moment. So I'd like to see it just released. And if this is the worst information that Democrats can find to trickle out there, it's not that bad.
Even if it's worse, why don't we just get it out? Just get it over with.
I agree.
It's not going to go away. All right. I mean, he can't get reelected again, Donald Trump. I mean, and I don't think they're just slow walking until after the midterms because they figure it would be negative. Because I think that there's going to be people on both sides that are implicated. Why not just listen? I don't mean to be callous, right? I think the victims deserve their moment, but there were plenty of opportunities for Gouffre, the young lady who killed herself eventually, who's accuser of Prince Andrew now, and formerly known as Prince Andrew, now just Andrew. She never mentioned Trump. She never mentioned that Trump was participating in any of this. So there's been many pieces of information that could have implicated him and hasn't. Very quickly, why won't they just release it all?
No, I agree. I would like to see it released. I don't think there's anything incriminating on Donald Trump in there, or that would have been released right now. So there's some other reason that people don't want to release it. But I think you're right. That's probably bad for people on both sides.
Honestly, Christine, I'm trying to figure out, and the only thing I can possibly think about is that there are big supporters and donors on both sides that will be implicated, and no one wants to be the president. Biden could. I think back at what they did to persecute Trump to make sure he wasn't 47 president. Right. They did everything they could. They made stuff up in court And if they had something on them, I think they would have released. It seems to be some pretty high-powered people on both sides that no one wants to really mess with.
I think that's exactly right. It comes back to the donors, right? It's always about money.
Always about the money. Follow the money, folks. When you can't figure it out, follow the money. Always a good tactic. And now back to your case. You found out that a group who shares the same address, president, executive director, and leadership team as the Elias and Eisen groups gave $200,000 to Arizona Attorney General Kris Mayes' campaign after the election, which seems like Mayes was paid to prosecute people like you, Trump supporters. Tell us about it.
Right. So I filed this motion in my criminal case, which is still pending, basically saying it was the Democrat Attorney General's Association paid Kris Mayes $200,000 after her election was over, while she was in the midst of opening the grand jury and doing the investigation into us. And I can't say in exchange because, I'll leave law enforcement to prove it. But this is what I argue to the court, is that it looks improper that she then granted a level of prosecution power to a nonprofit that was started largely by the Democrat Attorney General's Association. So they're paying on one hand, and then they're getting to help prosecute us on the other hand. And so the motion that I filed said, this looks improper. She needs to be disqualified. And the court has not ruled on it yet, but I certainly think she needs to be disqualified. And then, there are some potential appearances of bribery or some type of financial crimes, potentially, that needs to be investigated. And I sent the information that I have to the Department of Justice and said, hey, you might want to look into this. At the very least, she needs to stop prosecuting us. At worst, there's some funny business going on.
Yeah, and you need to continue. Here's a weird thing, though. There's so much of this stuff seems incestuous. Like, we got to remind our viewers that Mark Elias was Hillary Clinton's CFO for her presidential campaign, and Norm Eisen was ethics czar for Obama. But, Christina, Trump hired Elias to handle some of the state-by-state legal stuff that he went through post-election, right?
Mark Elias? Yes,
wasn't he working with the Trump administration or Trump campaign at one point? I believe he was.
Oh, I'm not aware of that. I've only seen Mark Elias. I mean, he's very, very liberal. His website is "I help Democrats." I mean, literally, that's what his homepage says.
Right. No, I'm pretty sure he worked. General counsel for Hillary Clinton, but Elias oversaw the state-by-state response to lawsuits filed by Trump.
Against Trump, yeah.
He was involved in the campaign late. Here's how I remember. I was talking to Seb Gorka at Mar-a-Lago at the poll, and we were trying to figure out why the hell Mark Elias was involved in the Trump campaign at all. And he was at some point. But anyway,
wow.
So let's go on. So you have whistleblowers, potential whistleblowers?
Yeah, well, I sent a whistleblower complaint to the Department of Justice just with the information that I had for my motion to disqualify her, saying, I'm going as far as there's an appearance of impropriety. That's the burden that I have to prove in court, and that's what my motion says. But it does appear improper, and you might want to investigate where this money is coming from and where it's all going, because it looks very suspicious. It looks very incestual, as you said, and it looks like these Democrat attorney generals, and I'm talking about Kris Mayes, but it folds over into other states as well, that they are basically ceding their political power, ceding their government power to these Democrat nonprofits that are started largely by either the Democrat Attorney General's Association or other portions of the DNC, and they're taking their direction from the party rather than as the independent, elected official that they were elected to be. So it appears that there's some improper relationships going on there. I'm not making any criminal accusations, but there could be criminal activity. Yep. I suggest DOJ look into it, and they haven't, but we'll see if they do.
So why not, right? And again, this is another. The reason why I'm asking is that I think I represent MAGA. I've been there since 2015. Steve Bannon calls me original gangster MAGA, OG MAGA.
Yeah.
I just don't. First of all, we haven't seen any perp walks. We haven't seen the Epstein full file unredacted, which we were promised that. And there are things like this, like why aren't they pursuing some of the folks that did some?
Yeah.
Why aren't they pursuing the people who are aggressively, throwing the J6ers behind bars, right? And just follow up on the things that we said they were going to do. You make MAGA a lot less agity, if that's a word right now.
Well, sure it is. No, I think you're exactly right, and I think MAGA is frustrated because we have felt the pressure the full 4 years of the Biden administration, not to mention the 4 years of the Trump administration, where they were still targeting Trump and his supporters, even though he was in power. We have felt that weight for years and years and years. And then you get the Trump administration and supposedly a conservative Department of Justice and a House and Senate. And it just hasn't solved the problem. I mean, the House and Senate could have created election reform, which is what conservatives have wanted. You know, President Trump has his agenda of, you know, 1 day, no mail-in ballots, no machines, you know, be in-person voting. He has his list of things he wants. That could happen, but the Republican House and Senate aren't doing it. They haven't passed immigration reform. His tariffs that are now being threatened at the Supreme Court level, that could be passed by the House and Senate, but they're not doing it because they have a separate agenda. So President Trump has come into office trying to implement the plan that the people elected him to implement. And whether it's his Department of Justice or the Republican House and Senate, they're just not supporting his agenda. And I think Americans are getting frustrated. And then, you know, Republicans get spanked in the election a couple weeks ago and go, why are we losing support? You're losing support because you're not doing what we elected you to do in the first place.
What's the goal here? What's the end goal? What do you want to hear? What's the petition to Department of Justice right now?
Well, I think the Department of Justice needs to investigate this. I'm already being prosecuted, right? I'm in the process of working through my case, which I hope is successfully resolved here in the next month or two. However, next time they come, they're not going to come for me. They're going to come for other people. They're going to come for other Republican officials. They're coming after conservatives. And I don't want that to happen to anybody else, but nobody is stopping them. No one is creating any type of deterrent from allowing these liberals, as soon as they get in power, to come after Republicans at the lowest level. The difference between what Donald Trump is doing and what the Democrats did when they were in office is Donald Trump is going after, to the extent that they have gone after, elected officials, you know, John Bolton, Comey, you know, they were appointed, but appointed officials, Letitia James was elected. They're going after the people in positions of power that abuse their positions of power. When the Democrats were in office, they did that. I mean, they went after Donald Trump, but they largely came after us. It was largely the American people. It was the people who were volunteering for political campaigns at the state level.
We said they're going after, the reason why it's so outrageous, you're going after a former president, but he was a citizen. If they can go after him, they can literally go after anybody. And they went after all his closest friends, advisors, lawyers. Christina, really stay on it and come back to us and let us know how things progress. Appreciate your time. Christina Bobb, everybody. Thank you. All right, folks, it's that one time a year, the Birch Gold Group gives away free. I've been saying this for weeks. They're going to give away free gold with every qualifying purchase. You realize gold went up $130 an ounce yesterday, another $80 to $200 an ounce, each ounce in 2 days. Every purchase, they will figure out a way to get you some gold. That's right, for Black Friday, when you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold, Birch Gold will send you free gold to your home for every $20,000 purchased. Gold started the year around $2,600 an ounce. It's $4,300 an ounce today. You believe that? Global uncertainty is the reason. 2025 has been defined by trade wars. Central banks are pulling from the US dollar as global reserves currencies. The dollar starts to go down. When the dollar goes down, things like gold go up. Military tension continues to build. Gold thrives in times of uncertainty. And if you're looking to diversify your savings, Birch Gold Group can help you. Plus, now through November 30th, you get free gold with a qualifying purchase. Just text this word, America, to 989898 to claim your eligibility and for a free info kit on gold. But your opportunity for free gold with purchase ends on November 30th, so don't wait. Text that word, America, to 989898 for full details. All right, let's do this very quickly. Wait's over. The name I've been teasing all week. Take a look. There it is, Mr. Patrick Bet-David. The guy went from refugee, came over from Iran, a Christian in Iran, came over as a refugee, not a dime in his pocket, started working at Burger King, at Gold's Gym, and developed once in a lifetime opportunity to develop a $200 million value-tainment business. Amazing, amazing, amazing story. Just take your phone, open the camera, hit that QR code right there, a little yellow line, press it. It'll never charge you. You will not be charged a penny. No one's going to help you down. It's simply to push us up the YouTube algorithm. You can either use your camera or you can subscribe this way. go to youtube.com/@EricBollingTheEdge. youtube.com/@EricBollingTheEdge. Patrick Bet-David tells you about his whole life story. That's going to drop tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Thank you for your viewership. Thank you for your support. And thank you for your subscription. We'll be back 2.5 minutes.